Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Passannante. I am the collections manager at the Danforth Art Museum. I am so excited to be talking to you today from near Boston, Massachusetts, and really happy that one of your teachers, Israel Salas, reached out about your upcoming museum visits and project. I'll start talking a little bit about the Danforth Art Museum. We were founded in 1975 as a museum that focuses on American art from the 1800s to contemporary day, with a focus more specific on Massachusetts artists. In our museum, we have 6 gallery spaces. One is dedicated to our permanent collection, where I'm talking to you today from. This we change over every January, and out of the 3,600 objects that we have in our collection, we get about 10% of those works out on view every rotation. Another permanent gallery is designated to the artist Midavo Warwick Fuller. She was an African-American artist that lived locally in Framingham, Massachusetts, and she really broke a lot of cultural barriers and norms during her time as a sculptor. Our other 4 gallery spaces are rotating. Those change 3 times a year, and we bring in local artists from the surrounding area for those exhibitions. There's definitely a strategy when creating exhibitions, and this will vary depending on the museum. But for us, our exhibitions are planned by our curator as well as myself. For exhibitions that deal with artists from outside our museum, we work closely with those artists to determine what artwork we will bring in, if we will be painting the walls and what colors those will be, and if we need any other materials like pedestals, wall cases, or freestanding movable walls like the ones that are behind me here. Depending on the size of the works or the number of works that are going to come in, that will determine which gallery space we will use, since our gallery spaces are different sizes. Our curator is really great at picking wall colors that accent or enhance the exhibition. And for wall text, we use usually a large introductory panel. We'll have a couple smaller panels that talk more about the artist or their process, or maybe a couple of their works in more detail. And of course, we have object labels that are next to every artwork that tells you the title, the date, and the medium that were used to create it. For exhibitions that use our permanent collection, that process is a little different. We usually start with a kind of theme for the exhibition. This just helps us in what we're going to pull out, since again we have 3,600 objects. Our current theme for this exhibition is gatherings, so we picked out objects that deal with kind of gathering, either gathering of people, gathering of similar objects, or gathering of similar colors. Next January, we'll be changing this over with a theme focusing more on introspective or kind of looking inward. So we'll go through the same process and figure out which artworks feel that theme of kind of looking inwards. Having a theme like this really helps us focus on what we're going to pull out, since having a collection of such diverse artists, mediums, dates, time periods, they don't always really mesh well together, but having a theme really helps you pull out works, and it's surprising how well sometimes works from different eras and different types can really fit well together and tell a great kind of story or exhibition. Placing the artwork can be the hardest part. We usually have a rough idea of where objects are going to go before they come in, but we won't really know until we see all those works in person and get them into this space. This process can take some time. Sometimes it's up to 2 days of just moving artworks around, pairing them with different works, putting them on different walls in the gallery space until they all really start to talk well with each other and make a really nice kind of narrative story. When we do that, we can look at similar themes or feelings that the artwork is giving out or giving us. We can also look at similar objects or shapes that are within the works, or sometimes even similar colors that kind of help tie works together and kind of have your eye flowing nicely from one work to the next. What is really great is that art and artwork is evolving. And today it really has come down to what people view and appreciate as great works of art. It's really different from 150, 200 plus years ago, where artists were trained in studios under masters and really had strict materials and methods they could use and subjects that they could produce. But now, with art being so much more accessible, it can be found everywhere using so many different kinds of things. And this is making so many different kinds of styles, expressions, ways to communicate with people, which is just fabulous. You can now find people upcycling and recycling household items into pieces of art, and sometimes those are great masterpieces. The use of multimedia and digital technology is the same way. It's making art much more accessible. And also the use of graffiti that is being used to beautify outdoor spaces is another example. So museums are a great place to start when looking at a wide variety of artworks. It doesn't have to always be a museum. Art this day and age can be found outdoors on the street, in a park, in a gallery space, or in an artist's studio, or on the side of a building. But museums can be a great place to see a wide variety of artwork. A number of museums will have artwork from different eras. It can be old masterworks next to contemporary works. It can be artwork from other cultures, ancient cultures, modern cultures, other artists from around the world that maybe you won't ever get to see in person or get to those countries. But this way, you can see a lot of these works all together, sometimes in one building, and get just a good overall example of what artwork is and how it's evolving. I think what makes culture and art so valuable is that it can be an identifier and a unifier at the same time. Art and culture can really create important meaning for different cultures, different regions, different countries, different time periods. And it can really help identify and kind of give a sense of unity to a group. But at the same time, it can also break down cultural barriers and cultural divides and become a way for people to connect with others, connect to our past and learn from our past, or to help understand others' viewpoints or life experiences. So art, just like other forms of artistic pursuits like music and literature, can be a way for all of us to learn and appreciate each other, to relate to each other, or really to kind of understand each other. And I think that is something that is really important and valuable right now. When visiting a museum, and I try to do this every time I visit a museum, is really to go in with an open mind. This is an idea that's slowly changing in the museum world, that it shouldn't always be the museum's interpretation or one voice that is interpreting an artwork, but it should be left up to the viewer to make their interpretation, to have their own reactions or relations to a piece of art. So instead of going on and focusing on specific details of the artist or the artwork that you're seeing, really go in and stop and look at a piece that makes you wonder, or kind of question, or one that you really are drawn to, or maybe one that you don't know if you like right away, I think is really great. And this just allows you to be open to different kinds of artwork, different interpretations, and it allows you to be open to listening to other people's relations or feelings towards an artwork as well. Don't be afraid to stand farther back, to get closer to a work, to look at it from different angles, because sometimes that can really be surprising what you notice from different viewpoints and different distances. And you can also think a little more globally. You can think about how the color of the walls or how the artwork is hung, if it's close to others or in a kind of crowded form or done more linearly, and how the lighting also affects how you interpret or feel about an artwork. And there are definitely some questions that you can ask yourself. You can do this on your own, or you can do it with a small group of friends about an artwork you like, or maybe one that you don't like, that can help kind of understand why you or other people are reacting to a piece of work, or maybe not reacting to a piece of work. Some of those questions are, why do you like this work? Maybe why you don't like this work. What is standing out to you? What draws your eye to this piece of artwork, or is there something specific in the artwork that draws your eye? What do you think the artist was trying to say with their artwork? And is there something that you maybe relate to that is being depicted in this artwork? So yeah, these questions can really help you understand maybe your viewpoints or other people's viewpoints and start a dialogue around certain pieces of artwork. So when writing about an artwork or maybe a visit to a museum similar to the project that you'll be doing, what I've really noticed in my time in museums is people really value and relate to connections when connections are made to an artwork. It is still important to give credit to the artist as well as the title of the artwork and the date when it was created. And you can definitely, of course, add some information about the artist's background, some of their experiences, especially if you find some really kind of fun, interesting fact about them, or maybe about the artwork that you're writing about in specific. But looking at something more from how you interacted or you felt about a piece can make more of a connection. And maybe noticing how you related to it or were drawn to it, it can really open up the ability for others to also come to you and talk about if they had similar feelings or how they interpreted a work or how they found something relatable to the work. So it really kind of creates more of a dialogue between you and other people around you. So it really should be more than just stating simple life facts about the artist, where they studied, what type of artwork they did, what materials they used, when they died, that kind of thing. But when you talk more about your personal connections or your feelings to an artwork, it can make it a lot more impactful and meaningful in the long run. So thank you so much for letting me talk to you a little bit about the Danforth and our process of creating exhibitions, and just one of the ways that you can go into a museum or a similar kind of institution to view and learn about art. I hope what I've shared will be of help to you at your future museum visits. These are just some things that I've noticed working in the museum field, and you might find other ways that work for you better, and that is totally valid. And whatever works for you going into a museum, I say go for it. There's no right or wrong way. I can't wait to hear about your museum visit and also to see what you found inspiring in your upcoming project. Bye.